Welcome back, Mighty Vandals, to Tubbs the Club. This is going to be a Tubbs short covering the huge 2025-26 men's and women's basketball opener. But Idaho swept WSU. It was crazy. But both the men's and women's games, both were 2-point games. We'll talk about them individually. Full disclosure, guys, went as quickly as I could live. And look, we're drowning trying to get extra Tubbs stuff out, which is to say, did I do all my research on all the background pronunciations, players' names? Oh, God, no. So you're going to forgive me. Sometimes the best we got is a B. That's what we got tonight. But look, the show is presented by Snake River Stampede Canadian Whisky. We're in the round the bar, brought to us by Hughes River Expedition. If you're looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, do not look past your backyard. Hughes River Expedition has been Vandal-owned and operated since 1976, and they're ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. So here's the deal. Their trips, they're going to take it to the best parts of nature in the Pacific Northwest. You're going to see places like the main Salmon River and Overturn, Salmon River Canyons, and the Selway, places you would never see otherwise. They're all inclusive. You just show up and enjoy the trip. Get a hold of Colin, 406-540-4450. Check them out, hughesriver.com. Okay, so we're going to go chronologically here. So the women's game was tipped off at 11 a.m. today. And in the comments section, joined by... I got no idea who that is. I'm joined by someone. So women's game tips off at 11 a.m. And Idaho wins 87-85. And the flow of this game was pretty goddamn wild. So Idaho leads at the end of the first. And, hey, this is a tight game in general. Idaho leads at the end of the first quarter by 24-22. And then at halftime, they're down 8. It gets a little bit worse heading into the start of the third, where Idaho trails by as many as 15 points during the third quarter. But that's when the Idaho comeback, really kicked in. And look, the star and the story of the women's game today was no question Kyra Gardner. Kyra Gardner transferred from Washington State. Her previous career high at Washington State was 13 points. Yeah, she doubled that tonight. Kyra Gardner annihilates her former team with 26 points, going 9 of 16 from the field, including 6 of 10 from behind the arc. Damn near got a double-double with 8 rebounds too. This was a relatively balanced Vandal attack. Hope Hasman, leading returning scorer from last season, chips in with 17 points, 7 of 18 for the field, 4 rebounds, 4 assists as well. And here, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Anna Pinheiro adds 16 points as well, 7 rebounds. And then we had the 2 big transfers from San Francisco. We had Lorena Barbosa and then Deborah Dos Santos. So Deborah Dos Santos, apparently, according to Coach Arthur Moreira, was just recently cleared to play. So she Dos Santos only played 9 minutes, but scored 8 points and had the game-winning free throws, picking up a she was fouled, loose ball foul at the end of the fourth quarter. She hit both of those. It was a tie game at that point. That was off of, I believe, a Kyra Gardner 3 that made it a tie game in the first place. But huge win for the Vandals. I mean, like, if you were concerned at all about Idaho women, taking off from last season, don't be. The transfers are as advertised, and they're only going to get better. Because again, like I said in the post game, Coach Moreira talked about there's just a few players who they've had some health issues. It's going to be fine for the regular season, but huge statement win for the Vandals. Also, a real high scoring game. So again, if you were curious about the play, if you don't typically watch women's basketball, I just got to say, this is the Idaho Vandals women's team is really fun, really easy to follow and to like. And the coaching staff, super nice, and they're good. So their next game is going to be at UC Davis Friday, November 7th. We're not going to see the women's team in Moscow until Sunday, November 9th. That's against Walla Walla. And then Saturday, just about a week after, is the first D1 home game for the women's team. That's against Southern Utah, 2 p.m. In a few days, Martin's going to have, kind of a deeper check-in and go through the roster for the women's team. So that, which is not the scope of what I'm doing today. But the big deal was to say, like, man, if you want to start a season off with a bang, both teams, men's and women's, they absolutely did that. Now, talk about the men's team in a second, but hey, player of the game, I already said, was the story of the game was it was Kyra Gardner. Again, so six threes, 8 rebounds as well. Good to see Hope Hasman, like I said, as the number 2 scorer. So I guess what I would tell you guys to look at, though, is the impact of our transfers from San Francisco, both Deborah Dos Santos and Lorena Barbosa. I think it may take a minute for those two to materialize the way I believe they're going to later in the season, simply because of health. And this women's team it's a guard wing oriented team. So those two finding their spot, it's not exactly as shocking. That might take a minute, especially Dos Santos, who apparently just got healthy a minute ago. But 8 points in 9 minutes from Dos Santos. Yeah, that's about as good as you can get to start out. And then, hey, Barbosa, 10 points in 16 minutes as well. Yeah, those are both pretty big contributions. Before we talk about the men's team, just a reminder, vandalgear.com. Best place to get your Vandal shirts. I don't have the logo up right now, but it's run by Jeff out of the company name Pacific Custom Sportswear. Their Idaho Vandal shirts, they're high quality, super comfortable. They've got logos you can't get anywhere else. And you can also get the Fighting Tater shirt, but it's just $25 for an adult size shirt. The pricing is fantastic, and they don't skip at all in the quality. And if you have an org, a school, business, whatever, you want to get your own merch to sell, or you want to just have merch for people to wear, Jeff can do that for you. Get a hold of him, vandalgear.com. Now, in case I missed saying the women's score, women won their game 83-81. So no, sorry, that's the men's score. Good Lord. Like I said, doing it at night, this stuff. Women won their game 87-85. Now, the men's side. The flow of the men's game was very different. Idaho essentially led this game wire to wire. I already told you, hey, they ended up holding on for a 2-point win. The flow of this game was incredible because in the second half, Idaho led by 16 points with about 6 minutes left in this game. For all but that last 6 minutes, Idaho looked like easily the better team out there. But then, our Vandals had a little bit of a collapse that final 6 minutes. WSU got it to, it was a 2-point game, right? WSU had it as close to within 3. They had Case Wynot from Lapwai, Idaho, for WSU, had a shot to tie the game for Washington State. And towards the very end, missed it. WSU gets a rebound, ends up, shooting a couple free throws. They make one, whatever. Idaho holds on for the win. So the story of this game on the men's side was a very, very balanced attack. There's a little bit of change. If you saw the Boise State game, you already know there's a little bit of change up in the lineup, maybe compared to what you thought. So the lineup has just 2 returning starters from last season. That's Colton Mitchell and Jack Payne. Christian Gonzalez has been moved to 6th man. We'll talk about his production in a second, but that's a fantastic. If Christian Gonzalez is going to score 18 points in 18 minutes like he did off the bench against WSU, shooting 6 of 8 from the field, including 3 of 4 from behind the arc, he's going to be a game changer for Idaho off the bench, and he's going to be in the running for reserve of the year in the Big Sky Conference if he can contribute like that. So, but otherwise, the Vandals had 6 people score in double figures. Already talked about Gonzalez led the way, but we had 13 points from transfer Brody Robery from Southeast Louisiana. Freshman Jackson Rasmussen put up 12 points as well. Transfer Biko Johnson at 11. We all know and love Jack Payne. He put up 11 points as well. So very balanced attack from Idaho. And what I saw in this game was, and by the way, Biko Johnson transfers in from Fort Lewis College. What I saw from this game from Idaho is, if you had any questions about the replacements Idaho had for our transfers and departed graduates from last season, throw those worries away. Idaho looks like they're going to be stronger in the post, both defensively, rebounding, and with guys who can put the ball in the basket. And the Vandals look like they're going to get better dribble penetration as well. Now that's not to say there's not some things that obviously need to be resolved here. Because if Idaho was up by 16 and ended up winning by 2, with W2 having a shot to tie the game, obviously there's some things that do need to get smoothed out. But I think this has the makings of a very good Big Sky team. Biko Johnson is the off the dribble threat the Vandals missed last season, and both Colton Mitchell and Christian Gonzalez are looking a little bit stronger, which I think is going to help there. In addition to that, the post play of Robery, Rasmussen, and then Seth Joba off the bench, I just think Idaho's going to get more from their posts overall, defensively and offensively. And as far as what the 3 posts just talked about can do, it's pretty diverse. Jackson Rasmussen, true freshman, highest recruit out of the state of Idaho. He's an outside in threat, as I like to think of it. He's a solid shooter. He's got a strong post game. He's physically strong for a true freshman. Brody Robery is your classic back to the basket style player. Seth Joba is your stretch 4, stretch 5. He is clearly more at home shooting threes than backing down the post. He was 1 of 5 from 3, so he at least does not lack confidence for shooting threes. But he also looked like he was okay inside. So the big picture I'm looking at for the men's team to pay attention to is it looks like some of the weaknesses from last year have been addressed through the new recruits, specifically Biko Johnson off the dribble. We got natural improvement from Colton Mitchell and Christian Gonzalez, and the post play the guys just covered looks like it's going to be drastically superior to what we saw last season if this stuff persists. Now, the team has some room to grow, but the thing I want to point out here is, hey, the women showed character coming back from a 15-point deficit to turn things around. We all know that coming back from big deficit, that does show the character of the team. On the men's side, I will say I know in our patreon.com/Tubs the Club #OnlyTubs Discord, people are getting pretty nervous as it looked like the men's team was starting to collapse, but they didn't. They picked up the W. It's a new team. Even though we have a decent amount of returners, a lot of the guys who are playing are younger, or they're newer at Division I, or they're new at this level of a role as, let's say, a starter. It's going to take a minute, to see what this team actually is. I think it's important to not try to extrapolate too much from one game, but it's a big deal to me that Idaho did hold on for the W. This is the kind of game that last couple of years, I think you would easily pencil Idaho in as no, the collapse is going to be complete. They're going to lose this game. That's not what happened. So I do think Pribble's going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit of, just go over the tape of the last 5 minutes, because the Idaho team of the first 35 minutes was a really, really good basketball team. Got to figure out how to close out games, but they still did close out and win the game. So, only so much you can take away from one game. I know that big picture, I'm super high on both of these teams right now. I did learn my lesson from football season, right? Hey, just one game. I'm not going to jump too far in. We're going to have basketball during the football. We have a lot more games. But both these teams, not talking about the outcome, I'm talking about the actual pieces on the floor that we saw today. Both of these teams, the men's and women's teams, they have pieces to be really good Big Sky basketball teams. I bet this season is going to be one that we don't want to miss out on, and I'm hoping that translates into better attendance at ICCU once we get more D1 games going on there. But please, we have 2 men's games to look at as sample size: the BSU exhibition and the W over Washington State. The things I saw in the BSU game persisted into the WSU game, where the posts look better. The team looks like they have better dribble penetration, and it's a team with a lot of solid shooters. Colton Mitchell's eventually going to get going a little bit better. He was 1 of 7 tonight. He struggled for him a little bit, but more than a few guys picked up the slack. So the men's team looks like it's got a ton of contributors. The women's team looks like that's kind of a ton of contributors. They got the makings of good Big Sky basketball teams. We'll get to closing in a second, but the show's been presented by Snake River Stampede Canadian Whisky, with the maker of the 2 best Canadian whiskeys in the state of Idaho, your Snake River Stampede and your Snake River Stampede Small Batch 1915. Both have double barrel finishes. Both are 3-grain whiskeys, 80% corn, 10% rye, 10% malted barley. if you like Canadian whiskey at all, you're a lunatic for having not tried one. If you're on the fence at all, try it right now, man. The Stampede's $26. The 1915 is $39 for an upper shelf whiskey. $39 is a fantastic buy. So get to an Idaho State liquor store, grab yourself a Snake River today. So I'm going to call the night pretty quick, guys. The men's team, we're going to see them next on Friday at home against Whitman. Yeah, sub D1, that sucks, but whatever. The men's team schedule is kind of weird. Like they don't have a D1 game at ICCU until December 3rd when they host North Dakota, but you will see the Vandals in kind of home when they host. They have a holiday tournament in Boise where they'll play Cal State Northridge and Sam Houston. But between now and then, like I said, Friday is the next time to see them in Moscow, and then Wednesday, November 12th, they're going to travel to San Diego West Coast Conference, and then on Saturday they've got UC San Diego. That's November 15th. So quite a few games between the men's and women's to keep on the itinerary. At some point, I'll do a deeper dive, a more thorough exploration of the men's roster as well, to give you guys some background too, just like Martin's going to do with the women's team. But don't sleep on either of these teams. Both the Idaho men's and women's teams look fantastic in their openers at Washington State, picking up a West Coast Conference win, right? So, this hadn't happened for the women in, I don't have the game notes. It'd been like 20-ish years for the women. It's been the last time I remember the men beating WSU. I think it was 2016. It was that Vic Sanders team. So it's been a really, really long time. So big deal to pick up these wins, big deal to pick them up on the road, and things are looking up for Vandal basketball. Tune in, do not miss out. Both these teams, I'm not kidding. Both these teams this is the best looking men's team I've seen from Idaho this early on, of course, since that Vic Sanders team back in like 2016, 2017. It's like 9 or 8 years ago, guys. So if you can't get excited about this, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'll see you guys Thursday for the main show previewing University of Idaho football team hosting UC Davis. I get closer and closer to talking myself into, I'm not going to use the word playoffs. I promise I'm not going to say the playoff word, but I don't know, man. Lots of things are trending up right now. After a couple rough weeks in October, November is looking like it might be a better month for Vandal sports. So tune in to football on Saturday at UC Davis. Follow for our men's and women's updates, and we will see you soon. Until then, as always, go Vandals.
Go Vandals.